Some people wait for certainty before acting. We act first and then we create certainty as we go, right?
Which is very un-French, right? The French love to think, right?
We don't speak about entrepreneurship. I think it's co-preneurship. It's really us two working together, co-managing and co-creating everything. There's no boss, basically. There is two people working together to the same goal. We want to be fully present at the office and fully present at home. And the good thing is that pretty much the whole work life is on a phone or a computer. So if you just put these away, the work goes away.
Getting a no from some key industry players wasn't enough to say, let's devise an exit strategy to get out of this. It was enough to just sort of keep us there, but then wait for that right moment. I think that was key. We still saw potential in an idea we had invested in, so we still believed in it.
The first half of your career, you say yes to everything, and that will earn you the right to say no in the second half of your career, which is thankfully where you guys are now, right? You can be a little bit more selective with who you work with because you built a reputation, but that reputation, you earned it, right? It's hard won.
Bastien and Gabriella, so lovely to have you on the podcast. I've been wanting to do this for a little while, unbeknownst to you. Right? It feels like I sprung it on you in the last couple of weeks, but I have been wanting to do this, so thank you very much for coming on the podcast. The obvious first question, I know you get asked it all the time, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Family affair. Business is very much a family affair for the two of you. You co-founded the business together. A lot of people could not work day in, day out with their spouse, right? My wife would probably hate working with me every single day. You two managed to do it with a smile. Tell me how important it is to you two to keep family as a theme throughout your business, right? It's very authentic to you guys. You live and breathe it. Yeah.
I think that's the first thing people tell us. You work with your wife? Like
I sit next to him all day, every day.
Sucker for punishment.
Yes, every reaction, every face I see when I say that, people are just like, ooh. And then see my wife, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. It's nice. I get why you want to sit next to her. We don't speak about entrepreneurship. I think it's co-preneurship. It's really us two working together and co-managing and co-creating everything. It's not I do work for her actually at the end of the day, but it's not like she works. There's no boss basically. There is two people working together to the same goal and respecting each other's view and complementing all the assets that the other one has, which I think is a key thing. So what I like doing, Gabriella doesn't really enjoy doing. What she does, I would love to do, but I have to do the boring stuff. So
I think it also works really well because we shine light on each other's blind spots. So I can tell you things that nobody else will tell you. And I think that's so important for personal growth, to be able to see your flaws that you can work on. So I think we both appreciate that candidness.
Yeah.
You have to be open to each other. And I think if you don't communicate well on the family side or on the professional side, it creates a real issue. But being able to tell each other what is not good or what should be improved or what was not communicated a good way to a client or a partner or a staff makes a big difference. Because the thing is, you can be as close as you want to your business partner. It's sometimes hard to say things. And if you have no business partner, it's sometimes hard to see what's not good. Yeah, it is low. And the mistake that you might be doing and the thing that you don't see.
But I also think it's super fun because we're going through, I had to, right? You're getting me a kick under the table. No, but it is. In all honesty, it is. I mean, obviously you go through hard times together and you get home at night and you've still got the issue of work on your mind and you're sitting around the dinner table together and you have to have that sort of distinction of, separation of space. But I think of like when we do our client visits, when we, fly abroad and we take our kids with us, it's just so wonderful to be able to share that with the whole family and not sort of say, I'm going on my business trip, see you in a week or so. So the kids are really a part of the adventure as well. And I think through that, they're learning.
I love that. I love that you bring them with you. And it's so perfect for your industry, right? Being in luxury hospitality, it just works. Right?
And they're not just tagging along. They actually are shedding light for us on a family experience, on creativity, on everything else. When we live a resort or live a hotel with our kids, it gives us so many more ideas of what we should be doing when it comes to consulting or creativity or how to create a kids club or what products that a room needs with kids. So it's actually a real asset for us to have our kids. They might ask us to get paid actually if we should cut that.
But they're providing rich market insights, right? Because you can come up with this beautiful concept, beautiful design, but actually when the rubber hits the road, it doesn't work. But you get to bring your 3 kids along and you see exactly what does and what doesn't. You did it with the rich, correct? Tried and tested was the Ritz kids. That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in many other groups, actually, we did this for Bulgari Hotel and Resorts. We did this for many different hotel groups.
Yeah.
And each time they actually have their favorites, so they always tell, "Oh, I like this one, but maybe this and this and this."
Never disclose. Never disclose.
Yeah, they won't get invited again otherwise. You know, I also think it goes down, as Gabriella was saying, it's not only about work and life balance, it's how do we integrate both by also keeping the safe space. So
Yeah.
at home, there's pretty much no phone. When we're at home, we're at home.
Interesting.
And we made the conscious choice of being fully present.
Yeah.
And if you are home and you are, I don't know, trying to do the homework with your kids and trying to answer to emails at the same time, it's just not working. So by being able to separate the two moments, it's great, but it's also about how you integrate both worlds to make the most of them, and how to feed each part of it.
If you've been enjoying the podcast and you're finding my channel valuable, can I please ask you a very quick favor? Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on audio, please just take 2 seconds to hit subscribe. When you do that, you help me grow the show, you keep the wheels turning, and enable me to get bigger and better guests. Thank you.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as equality. Work-life balance.
It's never going to be 50-50 or equal. Or,
Yeah, and I think you have to be okay with that. And I always, and it's work. I mean, you have to work to practice this, but to be present 100% in the space where you're at that moment. So when I'm at work, sort of saying, okay, I need to really give myself 100% here. And then when I'm at home, giving myself 100% with the kids or with Bastien. I think that's so important. It's hard, but you know.
No, I think
the
it's a very important distinction, right? What you said that, like, I give 100% here, and then I switch off, I give 100% there. Like, I think that's going to be very interesting to people listening and watching, like how you actually, what are some of the rules you have to demarcate that work versus life boundary? Do you have like a cutoff, like after 7 p.m. we're at home, like we don't talk about work because it bleeds into one another?
I actually think going back to like the basics and scheduling and saying like, okay, so I have a 10 p.m. call and this is my space when I'm going to be fully present to work. And then I'm going to, you know, from 6 p.m. until then, I'm going to be doing bedtime, bath time. I'm going to spend stories with my kids and kind of blocking it out and seeing it as chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we often say that the presence is the most understated business scale, right? And it's same as a family scale. So we want to be fully present at the office and fully present at home. And the good thing is that pretty much the whole work life is on a phone or a computer. So if you just put these away, the work goes away in a way. So we do it this way. Of course, it's in your mind and you think about stuff, but we always have a notepad next to us and you just write the thing that's on your mind right now, not to forget it. And then you go back to it. So on my side, I don't open my phone until I leave home. So in the morning, you know, I have the emails from the night before in France, because we have a big operation in France, also in the US. So I have loads of email that I could go on to right away. But when we wake up, 6:30, usually the first wake-up call from the one of the kids.
A little sweet.
Depends which one, but sometimes even earlier. But so, and when I leave, when I take the bus or the car to go, without driving, of course, but I remember we starting to check the emails on the bus or on the way to the office.
Yeah.
And it's a good way of pretty much getting in and not thinking about it before.
Seeing it in blocks, right?
Yeah. It's easier said than done, right? I think if you're actually living and breathing this, it's incredible, right? Because I think a lot of people will say, don't check your emails first thing in the morning. But most people, they do. The alarm goes off on their phone, or flick open to Gmail, to Outlook, to Instagram, whatever it is. And you're flooding your brain immediately. You've ruined your day.
Yeah.
I think, you know,
So
but if you can just be present with your kids, which I love, for a couple of hours, the work's always going to be waiting, right? You've got a global business. Someone somewhere needs you for something. It's never going to go away. So give yourself some space.
When you go on holidays with your business partner, right?
Yeah.
If you were going with a business partner who wasn't your partner in life in holidays, you would speak a lot about work, right? Because it what come to mind. So it's the same for us. We just came back from a beautiful week in holidays, and Gabriella knew I didn't want to speak about work someday. And I know she was dying to speak about like a topic or about having and because sometimes the other one needs to disconnect, and you need to respect that the other one doesn't want to speak about a business topic at this specific moment.
Did you state that explicitly, or is it kind of an unspoken understanding? You see,
We're not doing our work this week.
Exactly. I mean,
French to you, right?
French.
yeah. But I do see with a lot of our clients, they're also seeking that sort of environment for the guests. I feel like people are traveling, and when they're traveling, they are wanting the help to disconnect. And so we see with a lot of the work that we do that we're putting in that extra level of mindfulness. How can we help people in the room to put their phone away, to disconnect?
Yeah.
We actually created like a disconnect box,
Did you?
literally with a lock and key,
Okay.
because it can be that hard.
Who was this for?
One of our
Say? Or you can't say which client yet.
Yeah, actually, it was for a royal family, to be honest, in the private residences. Yeah, but so,
Was it a royal family? We don't say which one.
and it was inside the residences. They wanted guests to be able to disconnect and maybe also not take too much pictures of what was around. But the idea was for people to come and relax in the different residences.
Okay.
But it's now a product we do for many clients. The disconnect box is becoming big, and there's a cable and charging dock inside the box. There's a key, and you disconnect. But it's a really hard thing to do now, because in this resort we were last week, all the menus were on a QR code.
I hate that.
And
Personally,
I don't go to breakfast with my phone.
Yeah.
The butler, you could only speak to the butler over WhatsApp.
Yeah. Very common.
And so I told him, look, I don't have my phone. I don't want to touch my phone this week. So we'll have to find a different way to work. And the thing is, if I start using my WhatsApp, then if I write to him, I'll see the WhatsApp of someone else that might be urgent, and then you're gone. So yeah, it's a bit harder to.
Don't be afraid to ask for a tangible menu.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, this is the thing, and they'll find it, right?
Yeah, if they have to, they'll find it.
Yeah.
And it's also like about making those requests clear to where you go before you go. And if you can also tell a hotel, if it's the type of hotels we work with who have lots of service, you can tell them before, look, can you provide me a phone with just a WhatsApp to speak to the lend it to me for 1 week if it's okay. And I didn't think
I'll take an old Nokia brick phone.
whatever it is. Yeah. I like a bit of snake. It's always fun. And so that's I think it's always possible, but disconnecting is a big part of
It's huge.
of making this
It is a
relationship story work.
I mean, I've even noticed with the cadence of our communication, like sometimes it's very rapid and sometimes there's a gap, and that's fine. Like, I respect that from certain people. Like, clearly I've sent a message too late and I don't expect you to reply immediately, but I know a lot of people will. But I'm like, okay, Gabriella's just doing bedtime with the kids, or like, you need to firewall your attention,
Definitely.
right? You have to.
And I also think as you grow in the company, as we have more and more teams that we can rely on, we can do this more and more, because we are not, I would say, frontline operation as much as we used to at the beginning.
Yes.
So our answers usually can wait a bit longer because they might be more strategic, for example.
Yeah.
But to go back to another point is multitasking is also a myth. Like it's we cannot do everything at the same time. And so being able to focus and staying present is too important. And again, as a family, you cannot multitask, especially
Not efficient. You're not giving anyone the best of you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're being mediocre in everything rather than just excellent one thing at a time.
yeah.
You had a nice turn of phrase. I can't remember if I will get it exactly correct, but shining a light on each other's blind spots, I think, was something you said. How are you complementary in terms of your skill set? How do you view your role versus Bastien's role? What do how are you complementary that way? What's the yin and yang here?
We're definitely very yin and yang. I think I'm very creative, and I sort of like to be behind the scenes. And I feel like my zone of genius is when I'm doing creative things. You love to be front and center and really with people. And I think that's where I see you shine, when he gets off a call with a client or he's come out of a meeting and I just see this energy that radiates. I'm like, that is where the magic's happening. So it's also, I think, when we actively try to do this, try to identify what or where is giving us this great energy, and how can we really leverage that and spend more of our time doing what generates that excitement and generates the best in us as well. And sometimes we might not see it in each other, and it takes the other one to be like, hey, you did a really good job here. Like, why don't you do a little bit more of that or delegate this? And I think that's a really complementary
Or
part.
another way, like, you look stressed doing this. Maybe you should not be doing it because it creates frustration and tension. So let's try to find a way for you to delegate it.
Absolutely.
So
And sometimes it's hard to have that self-awareness because you can't see yourself in the mirror while you're doing it. And
Yeah.
and you think it's okay, I'll do it myself, but you don't see that it's actually draining your energy.
And when you say it, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, my heart rate has risen.
yeah, there's just that tension's kind of gone.
Yeah. And when you say that, you're sort of like, yeah, I get it. Right. So it's super valuable to have that direct feedback. I definitely, maybe not at the time, but in hindsight, I always appreciate it.
Well, that's why I think kind of the synergy between you is very, very helpful, because as a solopreneur, it's tough, right? I think we've all done it between us at various points. You have the benefit of teamwork, and most married couples, the number one breakdown is communication, right?
Yeah.
For everyone, but you're forced to kind of do it and practice it every single day. It's nice.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the sharing wins
Yeah.
is incredible. I mean, also you share hardship, and I think we overcome hurdles in a much better way because we have two brains to work with. So we overcome hurdles in a better way. But when we have a win, it's just a real joy. You can actually have a beautiful dinner at night and enjoy champagne or whatever it is that you want to celebrate with, and you can do it in a much more relaxed and happy way, right? Because if you have a win at work, you might not be able to share it at home if you don't work together, because
Sure.
the partner might not understand how big this win is, or what does it mean to you, etc. So that's a big thing, I think, for us.
Definitely.
No, it's nice to have someone to share your wins with. I think as a solopreneur, it's difficult. And even if you work for a bigger organization, like you said, sometimes your spouse doesn't want to hear about all the wins, but you've experienced it together. You have to kind of pick and choose your moments, but you don't have to. You're all in.
We're in it.
You're all in.
24/7.
How many times do I hear, and I respect it, but how many times do I hear people telling me, oh, I don't speak about my company or my work to my wife or my partner at all.
Yeah.
And I respect it, but I just think there is so much asset that you can get from someone that knows you so well. The only person around you that has the best interest for you at heart, it's, I think, your life partner, right?
Yes.
Most of the other people don't really have this. So I think you can trust one person is the person that you share your life with.
Yeah. Love that. In terms of, we talked about when the business was co-founded, 2015, if I got my dates correct. 10 years on, you've obviously grown the company enormously since then. Talk to me maybe, Gabriella, a little bit about how you've tried to extricate yourself. Was there any imposter syndrome kind of growing it? I mean, you've just had a recent merger with La Bottega, of course, is in the press already. That's public. Talk to me about some of the growing pains maybe, and how you're trying to slowly move yourself and zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think when you're starting a business, you're just feet on the ground to get that growing as smoothly and as big as you possibly can. And you sort of don't focus on your own personal and professional development. You're focusing on developing the company. And then you get to the stage where you're where you wanted to be, but you've sort of forgotten to nurture yourself in that process. And I feel like we definitely hit that a while back, where we kind of looked at each other and we thought, oh, we definitely should be focusing a little bit more inwards to be able to see how we can be better leaders, or we can help to, generate better strategy. And you sort of invest a little bit more in yourself. Whereas before, time was, very, very a rare commodity, and you didn't sort of allow yourself that time for yourself. So yeah, I'm glad that we got to the stage where we sort of not forced each other, but encouraged each other to.
Was there a moment or an inflection point where you realized?
I think when the company really grew a lot, like doubling numbers every year, you just realize, well, you cannot operate an iPhone 16 with the software of an iPhone 6. It's the same thing in the companies.
Yeah.
And for us, I mean, so the software we had was catered for a small company with 10, 15, 50 people. Today we have 300 colleagues. And there is so much more things involved in our day-to-day work. And you try to use the same processes that you had before, and it doesn't work because you cannot give as much time as you would with 50 people to the 300 people.
We were also a flatter structure, right?
Yeah.
A flatter.
And that's the thing. This is when you start putting in place some organization and some reporting lines. And which, when you start your company, like, what do you mean a reporting line? Everybody can come to about Dave's over there. Yeah, exactly. And there was, it was actually funny because in our previous office, there was always the line in front of my office. So people would line up to come to Story. And as the company grew, the line was getting bigger and bigger. And I couldn't do anything all day. I was just like, I was the consider. People would just keep coming. And
You were the bottleneck.
I was with the bottleneck. And exactly, right? And And I think I realized then I was like, you know what? My door is now closed. If you want to speak to me, there's an agenda. You put in my calendar, here's my free spot, and you give me all the topics you want to discuss. And from that onwards, for everybody in the team, it became much more efficient because they had to think much more before putting an appointment in the calendar.
They had to reflect as opposed to going to you for the answers. They're now
the first
reflecting themselves. Yeah. And I think there's also that development of the team as well. And we see, I mean, something that we always sort of push is this bringing value? Is what you're contributing, is what you're, suggesting or putting forward going to be helping others or pushing ahead? And I think putting everything down to value and the value that it brings is really important.
Yeah. Is there a kind of a principle or a razor that you use to decide like what is the important thing today? Or does it vary all the time? Let's say you've got, as a firefighter, a typical CEO, co-founder, you've got 500 different things to attack, right? Is there a rule like, okay, this comes first and this comes
Oh, yeah. I have my to-do list every single week and every single day. And it's just a few topics.
How do you decide what ascends to number one usually? Do you have a rule?
I think in my side,
You might have different.
clearly, it's clearly instinct. I'm a real risk taker, and I know exactly where we have to go for the business.
Yeah.
And I understand the business where we're in quite well, and so I know what the opportunity is good or not, and which project I have to get involved in because it will make a difference, and which it will not. It goes back to what Gabriella was saying, which is our zone of genius, right? And it's I'm being used in the best way when I'm being focused on this, and some other thing where I'm good at, but it could be better done by someone else in the team. So I rather them doing it than me doing it. So we try to spend our time on this stuff, and it's not 500 topic. And the other day, it's just a couple topics that you can really make a difference on.
Yeah,
I do sort of have a system where I'll look through my things to do for the day, and anything I can do right away within like a couple of minutes, I'll sort of get them out the way, and then I'll make a list of the things that I feel I need to either work with someone else on, or I'm waiting for feedback, and I'll break everything down into those sort of to-do lists.
Yeah. As a creative, I think you're more creative than I, but certainly you can't do a podcast, you can't write, you can't build a consulting business without having that blocked out, dedicated space to think. So how are you kind of organizing your week to like block out time for deep thinking, deep creative work?
I feel my most creative when I'm outside of the office.
Yeah.
So when when we were in Australia over COVID, we got stuck in Australia over COVID. And every morning before anyone would wake up around the world and our emails would go, we would take these 1-2 hour walks just around with no purpose. We weren't going anywhere in particular.
Some fresh air during COVID. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was amazing, the ideas that we generated on those walks. And they actually formed the basis for that next chapter of growth for us. And had we have not taken that time to just put everything away, get out into nature, I don't think we would have had those ideas.
Yeah.
In our company, creativity is not a department, it's a strategy. The whole company is made around creativity, and it's infused in every single part of the business, and it makes a true difference. We're not, we don't go to the creative team, oh, you guys are the thinkers, can you think for us? No, everybody has this creativity angle.
Yeah.
And I think this is what you infuse really well to the whole team, not just to the creative team, but like literally to everybody. And it's also what the edge that makes us different on our market, because look, we're doing for hotels that design, consulting, and production is a big part of the business.
Yeah.
When I tell you I'm doing a beautiful tray, a beautiful vase, some comfortable slippers or a nice hanger, whatever it is, people can copy us, right? And this is what happens. We create, and after 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, whatever the complexity of the project is, we get copied.
Yeah.
But by the time they manage to copy us, we already have the next idea. And so this is why in our field of business, if we want to stay relevant, we need to constantly create to be able to be at the forefront.
Yeah.
That's it.
I always say we need to go where this is a David Bowie quote, actually, we need to go where we didn't know we were capable of going. And it's that sort of area where you feel a little bit of discomfort where I think innovation and magic is created. And I love seeing that in our creative team or in other departments where they push themselves a little bit more and their feet lift off and you see, there it is. There's the magic.
That's a nice moment. Well, I think you're never fully ready, right? You've got to just jump. You, as entrepreneurs, you know that, right? I think if I'd asked you in 2015, can you imagine yourself sat here, business is where it is, you'd probably like, no, we're never going to get there. But you're here. because you're constantly pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you kind of manage procrastination versus perfection, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they're their own worst enemy, right? They procrastinate, they want it to be perfect. You guys just seem to be creating new stuff all the time. Gabriella, like how are you managing that procrastination versus
I think you
perfection,
have to.
you know?
Oh, I think perfection doesn't exist. I think it's when you, and we see it through all the steps of the company's growth, when we've sort of just gone and done something, like we'll work it out. That's when we've seen the most innovation. That's when we've seen the most growth and the most beautiful things happen. So you definitely have to be okay with not reaching perfection, but also just kind of going for it. And you work it out as you go.
Every single day, I watch smart and otherwise successful people struggle to communicate their value. They have the expertise, but they're not brilliant speakers. And they lack the technique, they lack the gravitas to deliver their ideas with impact. They don't know how to speak in a way that makes people listen. The good news is that the principles and techniques of effective public speaking can be taught, they can be learned. And the truth is, most working professionals, many senior executives, are probably operating at 7 out of 10 in terms of their communication potential. You are talented, you are hardworking, you're good at what you do. But if you're honest, you know deep down that you're leaving money and opportunities on the table every time you're asked to present to an audience. Now, my approach isn't about making someone you're not. It's about accessing the best version of yourself when it matters most. And what I'm good at is helping people find the emotional center, find the central truth of their message. I help them find their narrative, one that will resonate with their audience. I help busy executives and entrepreneurs just like you compress years into weeks. I pull your future forward so that you can start holding the attention of your audience today. Do not let another great idea die unspoken. Do not let another opportunity pass you by because you couldn't find the right words at the right time. Your voice matters. Your ideas deserve to be heard. Let me be the one to make sure that's the case. Click the link or visit my website and submit an inquiry. Let's unlock the confident communicator you were always meant to be.
Some people wait for certainty before acting. We act first and then we create certainty as we go, right?
Which is very un-French, right? The French love to say.
We're very noble to think of that and to liberate.
Right, yeah. Well, at the business, that's not what we do. Like literally, we have the vision. We're like, okay, we know we have to get there. Let's just get it started, and then we'll figure it out on the way. Because there's never a better moment than now. And by the time if you want to be perfect, by the time you have your idea ready, you're going to become irrelevant. And often I'm being asked advice about this, about launching a company. And I think the key thing you have to focus on is your business channel. When you're trying to create something, you can have the best product in the world, the best logistics center in the world, the best website in the world. If you haven't think about your business channel, this won't work. Whereas if you do it the other way around, like, okay, you know what? I want to create a brand of sweaters. I'll sell the sweaters. And if they start selling, I will find a way to produce it.
Okay.
And the thing is, once the money in the account, I can tell you will find a way because people are willing to accompany you and work for you once the money is in the account. And actually, the first brand I launched was a brand of hoodie for the French baccalaureate. So it was a sweater called Bachelier. And the kids were buying a sweater that said that they had their baccalaureate, basically, in the name of their school behind. And I launched this really not thinking much, like it was kind of a media coup, whatever it was, and it happened to be like a massive success. It was middle of summer when the results of the baccalaureate came in, and we had to produce dozens of thousands. It literally was made in a garage, all good startup story.
Nobody had the reality behind.
Not sure we paid the tax on the office space, but it's okay. It's 10 years past, so it is no more kind of comeback. But yeah, like it was being made in a garage, piece by piece, and you just find the time. You find people that can come and help. You work on the weekend, you work at night, and it works out.
Yeah.
So the finding the business channel, finding how you're going to sell things is the key advice to give when someone wants to launch a company.
And also staying nimble and agile to be able to adapt quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
And I think that was key in the early days of our growth, that we were very light on our feet, able to respond and react really quickly.
Do you look back fondly on obviously your days as a solopreneur as well? You did Zava Shots, right? So in the drinks industry, very nimble, very entrepreneurial, good Hong Kong homegrown brand. Like, what are the lessons you took from there to Palatino?
I think it really goes back to what Bastien was saying, that there's never a better time than now. Like, I'm so happy that I actually got a product on the shelf in 7-Eleven across Southeast Asia. And it, branding wasn't perfect. We hadn't sort of, ironed out logistics things, but we did it. And I did it, and my team, my small team. But I feel like had I have just sat on that idea and waited until it had been perfect and tried to go and pitch it to people, maybe they wouldn't have seen what I had seen at that stage to be able to get it off the ground. So I'm really grateful that I did do it, and I did it young enough. So I didn't quite know what I was getting myself into, but...
And I think this is true. You don't realize the risk, but when you're touching food and like alcohol of all things and import, like you're touching to really tough things. And you're a bit reckless at the beginning, I have to say. Like you're taking risks. And there's probably things that you did that, was it completely the right way to do it? You don't know. But I think a good thing we took from her experience is scalability. Because she would go to sleep at night and people would start consuming the shots when she was sleeping. So you would wake up in the morning with POs in the box. And I think the scalability of her business is really something that we took into Palatino. And when we launched the business, we looked at which item for hotels would make it scalable. And one of the first things we did was all the consumables. So the toothbrush, the hairbrush, the cotton pod, and all those things. We wanted to get into this market.
With those.
But the problem is, some people thought about it before us, right? They didn't wait for us to consume and to produce those toothbrushes. So we came in the market 10 years this year, thinking let's do the first line of eco-friendly dry amenities, it's called. And so I remember us going to factories after factories to try to see how we could make a bamboo, a toothbrush in bamboo at 20, 30 cents, because you could do it at $3, $4, but making at this price was really difficult to be able to supply hotels. And so we literally lived in factories to try to help them develop a machine to be able to make the cost-effective products. And this actually is an interesting go-to-market strategy, but we prepared this beautiful range of products. We thought it was beautiful.
But we were like, everybody's going to buy it. Everybody wants it.
That was 2016. We went to...
pretty early on the sustainability.
Oh, really? I mean, it was really on. Really early on. And we were sure that it would be a killer thing, right?
Yeah.
And I went to this luxury hotel. I won't say the country, I won't say which hotel, but the hotel told me, look, Bastien, my clients are paying a high price enough that they have the right to pollute.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
that's a quote.
Maybe I didn't see that point, right? And so
we're like, have we just been doing this for...
you literally
just went down a rabbit hole of bamboo toothbrushes and bristles, and you're in.
And so they're in. It's like killed your dream.
And we were like, make it, and we got pushed back by pretty much everyone, right?
Okay.
And then Greta Thunberg started her protest.
Okay.
It was a sudden change. We actually had literally the phone started ringing like, you came with this thing,
that thing you
to that. And so is it available? I'm like, yeah, right away. Like, and then we managed to get most of the market because we're the first one ready.
Yeah.
And I have to say, there's one person that really made a big change in this. I was a visionary. It's a guest that you also have, but James, the ex-CEO of Mandarin Oriental, was the first one to take on this.
Yeah.
And said, you know what? I'll trust you. Let's put it on. And we were really small, and he said, let's try it.
He saw something that others perhaps didn't at that moment.
And thinking that 9 years ago, eradicating plastic from hotels, it was not a thing, right? There were still those mini bottles in the bathroom, which today they don't have anymore. The slippers were full of plastic. Now we do them in cork and cotton. So it was a big change. And I also think that as an entrepreneur, it's made of all the opportunities you can get, and you have to grasp them when they come, because managing to meet the people that will really empower your business, empower you, or help you make a big difference is not often. We had the chance with another fantastic hotel group, the Bulgari hotel group, that from the beginning gave us a chance. And when those people give you a chance, like, you give them your life, because they you fight to make everything for them the best, because you just are so grateful that some people trusted you.
You never forget it either.
Yeah, you never forget. Yeah.
What were those days like? Those early days, you get those 2-3 anchor clients, right? Where you just as you say, you have to blow them out of the water. Can you still remember very vividly what that was like? Yeah,
definitely.
I know you can't name favorites, but maybe there were moments that you can remember and.
No, definitely.
Being pivotal.
I mean, there's one client, a group, but it was one of their properties in France that really took a chance with us. And it was sort of that transition where Bastien was moving away from the merchandise, and he was getting 1 or 2 requests from this client in luxury hospitality. And we think back to those days when they would make these requests where suddenly, standards were higher and details were more, particular. And had we have not had a client like that who pushed us to create better, to innovate, to raise our standards, we wouldn't be where we are today, for sure.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when you launch your business, you say yes to everything, right? So if someone wants to order a 5-coaster, I'll take it. And you get the PO and you're like, got 5-coaster, right? And today you might not work under 5,000 or 1,000 coaster, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you see people taking the 5-coaster orders and you're like, no, they're right. And we should probably still continue doing it, but you also want to be intelligent in how the time is being used. So I think it's good. When you grow, you also leave space for the newcomers to do things that you did in the past. And they will come and challenge you, and they will come and push you to do things better. So I think the competition is really healthy, and letting space for the other people to grow is good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I quite like to say on very similar lines, like the first half of your career, and again, you can be a different age, but the first half of your career, you say yes to everything. And that will earn you the right to say no in the second half of your career, which is thankfully where you guys are now, right? You can be a little bit more selective with who you work with because you built a reputation, but that reputation, you earned it, right? It's hard won. You put in the reps, and you took those POs for 5 coasters and 2 lampshades, 1 pair of slippers, right? You had to.
And I remember Gabriella saying to me in the early days, and this is where it comes back to working as a duo, she's like, stop pleasing everyone.
Okay.
You saying yes to everybody, and you're stretching yourself in, which I was doing. Like I was saying yes to everyone on every single thing, and doesn't work. So it was good to build the reputation and the credibility and to show that we could do it. But then you have to learn how to. It's actually harder to say no than to say yes.
Yeah,
much harder.
Yeah. It's interesting for me listening to the story in full because that Greta Thunberg kind of moment in the news, that's a bit of a sliding doors moment for you, right? Because you put in all this R&D, all this innovation and research to build a product. You think we've all done that. We build something, we think everyone's going to love it, and it's crickets. But I don't know, it's a bit of serendipity, a little bit of luck, also foresight and insight by you two as well. But had that not happened, life could be very, very different, right?
And look, just, the bamboo toothbrush is part of the business, but we're doing all the other stuff, right? So we had, and I think this goes back to how you approach failure, right? If this hadn't worked, we would probably have said, okay, you know what, drop the eco-friendly things. It's in the box. It might be ready for the future. And actually, when people started saying no, we said, you know what, let's put it in the boxes and wait for it to come out. And it came out later on. So it's okay to fail, but you cannot invest all your time and all your energy and all your resources in something that might fail. You have to, it has to be gradual, right? So if you want to make some changes that might lead you to a failure, just make it really slowly to see how the market reacts to your different changes. So when we decided to launch this and to spend time in this, we of course had all our other range of products, beautiful decorative items or other gifts and laundry bags and lots of different things that the hotel needs, right? But because this one worked, it created a big chunk of business. So I think that's how we approached it, trying to not put all our eggs in the same basket.
What's your view on kind of failure, vulnerability? I think there's a bit too much, I call it failure porn and vulnerability porn on social media. Everyone's kind of, those crying videos. I'm all for authenticity. I'm all for vulnerability. But I think if you can avoid making a mistake in the first place, you do that, right? I think sometimes we've swung too far on the pendulum of failures and vulnerability sometimes, I feel.
You can fail if you can afford to fail. I think that you can be ready not to fail. And if you know your market inside out, if you studied your market, if you spoke to people, and again, it goes back to working with someone that can tell you if it's good or not good. If you listen to what's out there, you will probably not fail. So there is lots of condition that can make you not fail. You just have to listen to the different sign and look at your market. And you also need to know when to stop and not go down the trap when you see that things are failing. You need to cut your losses. But I do think that failure should be avoided if it can by making it as prepared as possible. Yes, you can again learn from failure, but of course only if you can afford to it. Then you're better off learning from small failures than one big one. It can also really kill your motivation and everything. So
Yeah.
fortunately, we made it this way. We didn't fail on much. We had the chance of having good understanding of our market and really listening to what was out there.
First, I think on the eco-friendly side, getting a no from some key industry players wasn't enough to say, let's devise an exit strategy to get out of this. It was enough to just sort of keep us there, but then wait for that right moment.
Yeah.
I think that was key. We still saw potential in an idea we had invested in, so
Yeah.
we still believed in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love that. In terms of kind of, the way forward, a lot of exciting news in the press recently. What are you personally kind of most excited about for the next phase of the journey? Because it's still quite recent in terms of we can remember kind of doing deliveries up the street and, zipping up parcels and going to the post office. And that's the real grit of entrepreneurship. You're in a different league now. What are you most excited about, do you think, in this next stage?
I really love that the hospitality industry is in a different phase now. I feel like people are traveling differently. People are traveling more mindfully. I feel like it's not just about a beautiful room or a beautiful property. People are traveling in a way to be transformed. And I love being a part of that process and helping and enabling our clients to have the tools and the guest journey mapping to help bring that to life. Because I see it in, little moments throughout the day where we're trying to have those little transformations at the moments of growth. If we can help people in a hotel to experience that as well, I think that's super rewarding.
Yeah, go deeper on that for me. I love that. Like, give me some specific examples that some hotels really doing it right. Maybe you designed some of the programs, like you already talked about the disconnect boxes. Have you felt any of these little moments of transformation? I know you guys are traveling a lot. Who's doing it well?
Oh, look, I think what we do, the products we do, and even more now with our new venture where we're 1,000 colleagues all over the world, 25 offices globally. We're making all the soaps in the hotel. We have the brand license for over 100 brands. We make beautiful robes, beautiful sheets, the pillows. We pretty much accessorize everything you're going to touch in your room.
Yeah.
And our goal is for the experience that you live with a brand to be continued at every touch point. When you're in your shower, the soap you're gonna touch, the hanger you're gonna have in your hand when you put your dress in, the shoehorn you use, the sheets you go in at night, the hair dryer you're gonna use. All of this needs to be
stepping onto the mat before you get into bed. I think is that moment where you can just tell somebody has thought about
That's
that
the thoughtfulness,
texture, the weight of that mat just before bed.
Like, is that luxury to you? Is it kind of the 1,000 tiny details?
It's the details for sure.
the thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
It's the excellence of every single touch point. Like, why did you choose this vase? Why did you choose this pen? All the details, if they are matching, if they tell a story. And I think even think about the hairdryer, right? How many hotels did we used to go to where the hairdryer was against the wall and you had to go close to couldn't even see yourself in the window or yourself, and it was not strong enough and you had to wait. And it frustrates you, right, as a guest. But now most of them are using beautiful luxury brands such as Dyson or other brands. And it's an experience. When you dry your hair with Dyson, you feel good, it's quick, it's fast, your hair look good, and it changes your experience of your stay. So all those little touch points are what we work on, not only on the products, but also on the experience side. So we create spa concept, we create kids concept, we create restaurant concept. When you do the branding of a restaurant, it tells a story, and it's a story that a guest might want to be part of.
And I don't think anyone wants apathy. It has to evoke a feeling, right? It has to allow that stepping stone for transformation. And so I love creating rituals in the hotel room or around the property that, allow you to go somewhere that you couldn't go if you're at home.
Yeah. We created something recently for a hotel group, which was a sleep program.
Okay.
Because every single hotel now is becoming more and more beautiful because we all have Instagram, so we know how to make nice things. So hotels look beautiful, they are great, they have great service, they have great food. So,
but if it's the box, then what?
And so what's next? And I'm going in a hotel because I want a great night rest, for example. And so, yes, I'm happy to have the earplugs and eye mask by my bed, but what else can you give me? So we worked on the activation with the food and beverage department, creating some snacks that will be helping you sleep without putting CBD inside. Relaxing tea. We created some the blue light. So if you want to be on your phone by your bed, there's a blue light glasses by your bed at least You can not.
Those late night doom scrollers.
We also made this opt-in service at night where they can cover your TV with a beautiful cloth, and at least you're not tempted to watch it, and they take off the remote.
So it's that thoughtfulness, right?
Yeah.
In
But also giving them tools that perhaps they didn't know existed, like maybe a white noise machine that they suddenly love and have an amazing sleep and they want to recreate at home. So just little things like that.
Actually, we also created some nice bedtime stories.
Okay.
So we created them ourselves, and she has a more relaxing voice than me, so it's her and her team doing them. But it's so meditation, bedtime story, stretching poses. You know, when many people go in a hotel for 1 or 2 nights, business people, they probably come from a long flight.
Yeah.
What do you do for them? What do you serve them at night when you just did a 12-hour flight to Paris? And you are going to go to bed in 2 hours, is it a good idea to eat a burger? Probably not. Like, you might have to eat something else to help jet lag and stuff. So we really help on all this part of the journey on making sure that it's relevant, not boring, creative, and good and cool.
Let's face it, most corporate training workshops, they're dull, they're uninspiring. And the truth is, when working professionals see the words CPD or training booked in their calendar, their first feeling is not one of excitement, but of dread. As partner and head of corporate training at Quinlan & Associates, I've delivered workshops at family offices, at some of the world's largest listed companies. Whether it's the art of communication, mindset, motivation, or building high-performance teams, I would love to be the one to help you deliver training that your people can actually look forward to, and they will remember for a very long time. Click the link below, or visit my website, michaelxcampion.com, or visit quinlanassociates.com to find out more.
Yeah. Well, I love that concept of rituals, right? You're creating new rituals, creating rituals of transformation, I think is amazing. The storytelling component, how much do you enjoy that? Like, how are you approaching those conversations with clients?
Oh, that is just
Yeah,
an
that's
incredibly
everything.
exciting space for me. And I see it not just with some of the children's programs that we're creating, but as Bastien touched upon, like the moments for adults where you're being able to, give an excerpt into the philosophies that drive the brand and, why they are doing what they're doing and connecting to place. So why are we in this destination? It's not to just experience a beautiful hotel where I could feel like I'm in Singapore, but I'm actually in Switzerland. It's about really fusing in little touches of the culture, of the local traditions, of the sense, and really playing on the senses. And I feel there's huge opportunity to even do that on a deeper level. And we're so happy to do what we do, but I feel like there's even more.
And even more because our clients' price point has more than doubled since COVID. Luxury hotels that used to charge $1,000 US, they might be charging $2,500 US for their entry-level room in London or Paris now. So how do you justify this extra $1,500 US from inflation, right? There's surely other stuff. So it works with the storytelling in the experience.
And also I feel, in some markets where labor costs are much higher, you don't have that higher, guest to staff ratio. So you need to allow these, touch points to really speak for themselves and to do the work for you when the door is closed and there's no staff to help or contribute to that.
Yeah, and the room does the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah,
That's in there.
absolutely. I also love how right now I feel like there is a shuffle, or there's people are rethinking how the objects in the rooms are to be used. And, a few years ago, there was a list and it had to have this, and you had to tick the box. And I feel like now we're rethinking that. Do we actually need to have this? And does it have to be done in this format? Or can we actually do away with that and allocate this to something else that will contribute a lot more to the experience?
We're actually working with the standards, that give the 5-star and stuff to tell them, look, push this away, bring this in, because if you ask a resort to put a shoehorn that might cost, I don't know, $5 US, it might not be relevant for this resort because no one is wearing shoes there. So use those $5 US to do a better clove brush, or to be a better, nicer hangers, whatever it is.
A beautiful city bag that you're going to take out and you're going to fill with like things you pick up from your exploration.
So it's about reallocating some budget. When you open a hotel, like just on the items we make, budget goes from $500,000 US to $5 million US, right? So there's a big chunk of money that you can allocate to make the experience better. So this is what we often spend time on, trying to reduce some of the cost of things that are not really essential, and bringing it more to other stuff that might make a real difference.
Yeah.
And then like the standardization, it's not evocative of place or
Exactly.
ritual, right? Because a lot of those hotel chains previously, as you well know better than I, you could be in Singapore, you could be in London, you could be in Sydney. You didn't know if you're inside the hotel, but now I think at the top end, they're all becoming super personalized, right? And you know from all these touch points, like, yeah, I'm in the Maldives, yes, I'm in London, right?
Definitely.
And don't get me wrong, some guests do want the standardization. Some guests, they want to know that every hotel they go in, they have on the right the bathroom, on the left the toilet. You know, and some brands do this really well. And it answers to a type of clientele that is happy with it. But we do believe that being more bespoke and more personalized and experiential is where the market wants to go. You know, right now we're working on the most incredible cruises with the cabin that costs $20,000 US a night with a minimum stay of 5 nights.
Yeah.
We're doing the beautiful trains in Europe that the Wayfront Express. Same, those, sometimes it's 30,000 US for a cabin per night.
Yeah.
What can you bring for this price? So this is all about the experience you're going to create outside and inside the train. How you're going to create the excitement if they're going to.
Are you working on this right now?
Yeah. So the next train is opening in a few days actually, but as a guest, you're looking forward to that trip. It's not
My expectations are through the roof as a customer for that, right?
Exactly. And so you expect to maybe receive something 1 month before, 2 weeks before, not only an email telling you that you checked in and come at this deck at this time. So we're creating all the little things you're going to receive either in terms of physically or the story you're going to receive.
Yeah.
So we work on private jets that also are being booked by guests, but not as stays on planes almost, but for a journey. Palaces. So we're really all being pushed by extremely creative and clients that want to have a completely different experience.
This is why I love the industry, because we work with some incredible hoteliers that are really there pioneering and shaping that new era in hospitality.
Yeah. How do you, as a creative, when this happens between your vision and the hotelier's vision, how do you navigate that dance? Like, you have a vision for how this concept should be. They have some preconceived notions of what it should look like. How do you delicately handle those conversations?
I would say we rarely have that because I think we're so eye to eye with our clients. We spend a lot of time with them, especially in the early days of the conceptual development where we workshop. We really get to know what it is that is driving them. What is the passion? What is their vision for this? And I think what we do really well is really identifying that and running with it. Of course, it has to align with what we feel as experts in this area we should be doing. But I would say we rarely have those.
And even if sometimes we're working with a casino in Las Vegas and at the same time in a beautiful lodge in New Zealand, and yet each of them have a purpose that they want to push. And
you wear different hats.
That's
different clients.
But it's still what Las Vegas wants to do. Maybe we might not be spending our holidays there, but it makes sense, and we want to help them achieve what they want for their guests. I think we have a good understanding of the guest of our clients because we are guests of our clients.
I was going to say, you're there as a guest with your kids experiencing it. How do you ever switch off when you're in the
That's a real fair.
Yeah,
I have to say that real,
because you notice everything in the room like that. So I don't know, adjust that.
We actually did 6 months on the road over COVID with our kids, and I think our little one was 2.5. No, was he?
No, he learned how to walk in Noah, like as he was 1 year old. And
he was 1 and the oldest was 3. And we stayed at all our clients' properties from Australia to the Middle East, all around the Middle East, up to Europe, Singapore. 6 months. You're on duty almost. You go down to breakfast. You're all dressed.
Stayed in
You might be the GM at the hotel. You run through food, kids. I know you're 1, but there's no.
I think we stayed in 50 hotels. 50 hotels over your 6 months.
Incredibly insightful.
Oh, yeah. Luxury hotels, right? So all really lifestyle hotels. But as Gabi said, like it was, we had to be constantly on, the kids had to behave and we had to behave. And, when you get out of the room, like there's no need for a housekeeper. The room is perfect, right? You can get a room, we made the bed. No, don't change your towel. They're here, they're clean. No worries.
You're always looking at things. Like you just can't switch off. And I love it though, because it's what drives us and it's what gets us excited.
But it also, when we don't get the experience we want, even if we go just for a date at the restaurant, if it's not at the standard we now expect because we have high standard, right?
Yeah.
We might get upset, and you're just like, but this makes no sense. Like, it's, pretty upset. It's just like, I'm working on letting it go now because it's definitely an issue. When I go somewhere that either it's done by us or not done by us, whatever it is, I literally look at every single detail and think it could be better. But you know what? It's working. So just like, Bastien, relax. Not here for that. Like, just enjoy your time and
Someone else can fix it.
yeah, exactly. No, exactly. At the same time, like, they ask you, oh, what did you think? Oh, you know what you're doing. It's like if you have René Redzepi going to a restaurant. If the chef asks him, what did you think? I'm sure René's food is better, but I don't think he will be saying, yeah, but you know what? You missed salt here. I'm sure he's going to say,
Yeah.
it was great. And I think this is what I'm learning how to do. So I don't give much my opinion anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I have a bit of a wine and spirits background, right? And the assumption is always people will think that because I've done all my wine tasting and blindfolded stuff, that I'm going to be really fussy when I go to a restaurant. Sometimes I just don't want to think about it. Like, I just give me the house red. I don't want to think about it. And I know all my sommelier friends, they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
If we're going to a really nice place, sure, my expectations are a bit higher. But actually, I don't want to choose the wine. I want to be like, Bastien, get whatever you like.
Exactly.
Right?
I'll actually be like,
Don't long, eh? Don't let me choose the wine or the sake. Like, you choose. It's fine. You just want to switch off sometimes.
well, I cannot say the same thing about the slippers. I'll have to choose a slipper.
Yeah.
Probably more.
The slippers were very particular. Yeah.
No, and I think working in this industry is, as Gabriella said, is a people-oriented business.
Yeah.
All the hotel managers, the GMs, the housekeeping, whoever, they all are here to make your stay better. And you can tell that there's all this heart that is put into it. And that's a really, really pleasure every day to work in something that people are happy. They contact you. Oh, I have an exciting idea for Christmas. I want to create a new hamper, whatever it is. It's not someone calling me saying, look, my insurance is not refunding me. So we're really speaking with people who respect our work and want to create things together.
Yeah.
So having, I think if you can choose your industry, having an industry where people are grateful and happy of what you do, that's good. Not that we don't have challenges, right? We do have delivery mistake, we do have product mistake, but if you approach it the good way, like, everything is it can be forgotten and fixed. By the way, this is one of the tip I always tell my team. The first thing to do is to focus on the problems. If there's a problem, I ask them every single day. Like, anyone can reach out to me in the company. There's a problem on WhatsApp, on whatever they want, but problems are made to be fixed, and I'm here to give them ideas on how to fix it.
They'll sweep them under the rug.
I would say one of my first thing in the morning is checking if there's any problem, and sometimes I have to dig for them. But I call clients out of the blue and ask them if the project we did last month went well, and if I can be an assistance to make it better, because if you have a problem and you don't fix it, first of all, it's a small industry. It will be known. And also people will just say, you know what, you didn't want to fix it. I want someone else. It's really easy for people to find someone else if you don't fix the problem. So that has been driving us since the beginning of our first company, actually.
And I think it's key what you said, like, sometimes you have to call and actually ask and say, how's it going? And sometimes they don't perhaps want to be so forthright to be like, well, I wasn't so happy here. And when they see that there's a genuine care and need or want to know, I think that's when they feel safe to open
I
up.
think people will forgive you and clients will forgive you if they know that you care, right? And if you're taking the time to establish that relationship, okay, there was a little bit of a foot fault here, a minor error, but I know that you love us and you're going to try support us, so we'll fix it together.
It goes back to authenticity, and I think from the beginning that's something that we've tried to really hold on to. Like, some people work with us because they like working with us, or they like working with our team members. And I think not losing or forgetting where we came from, who we are, and what makes us us.
Yeah,
and I think you shouldn't try to be as an entrepreneur as a co-preneur. The best, someone that you're not. If you're trying to be the best of yourself, it's good enough. You shouldn't be the loudest in the room. You should be just the better version of yourself, and really rely on your assets. That will make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. And what you may perceive as being your weakness, I feel you have potential to convert into a strength with the right partner or with the right team behind you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've walked into this one. What do you feel like your weakness is that you've tried to focus on and grow better?
I would say I'm perhaps not a strong salesperson compared to my fellow co-founder, and it's something that I've definitely had to work on because I'm so passionate about what I do. I love what I do. And I think there's value in sharing that and communicating that with my clients.
100%. And I'm sure your husband agrees. Like,
No, yeah.
Sometimes
passion
it's
is-
like you're doing it.
you're selling without selling. This
No,
passion
it's
is
true, yeah.
contagious.
Yeah.
Passion's contagious.
Take care on the hard calls.
Yes. No, it's great you can bounce off of each other, right? You can't be everything to everyone. So I think some people will respond to Bastien, some will respond to me, some will respond to you. And the fact that there's two of you going in the room together and they can see that the relationship's authentic and, you know,
Yeah.
living and breathing it. I think
And
that sells it itself.
So
as you say, some people might not get on with me as much as they would with her. And so, look, good, you handle them, and
Gabriella.
and I think it's important, because you cannot please everybody, like in terms of personality, right?
as long as it's genuine, I feel that,
Yeah.
there's a lot of strength behind that.
Well, I think the fact that you're selling things that you have birthed, right?
Yeah.
They've come from here, of course, in conjunction with the client often, but sometimes the genesis is here between your ears. You've brought it into the world. So when you sell it, you're already enthusiastic, right? Like I can see it in your eyes. I see it in yours. When you talk about it, it's like, I made this with my hands. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can feel it. That is selling without selling. And that's the best way, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than being the classic salesman, open the briefcase, here's what I've got,
Yeah.
yada,
Yeah.
yada. No, it's like, what matters to you? Like, what's special about this place? How can we create new rituals that sing,
And it builds
you.
trust. Like I can tell when I am speaking with a lot more passion about something and I'm feeling more confident to do so.
your body changes as well.
With that trust. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny when you say about the briefcase because we were starting, it was the antithesis of what we wanted to do. Like we just knew we didn't want to come with the samples and the rolly thing. And
We had to, right? I remember going to meetings like with boxes of samples. I tell the client about the showroom, no, you come because we're a big group. Okay, I come. And like I had suitcases, and I'm not thinking about them. Like,
Yeah.
how embarrassing. Like,
I would know with a box of sake and wine as well. Yeah.
and actually, it's not about this. It's about the connection, and it's about
yeah.
like, the
Sometimes
story.
you
And
didn't take anything out. No, just like
That's the thing, right? That's the thing I love. Yeah. Sometimes like we didn't even taste it, and they're already like, yes.
Exactly. And so I don't bring any samples to meeting anymore. And actually, I tell the team, if someone touches my showroom and removes one thing, 'cause it's one thing I pride myself in doing is having a beautiful showroom.
I've been in it. It's brilliant.
Stay here. And so we did with Gabriella, and I'm like, no, don't touch my showroom. Like I might put some keys and like some locks one day because they bring it to meetings, right? And like you don't need it to sell. You will send samples afterwards, but it's about the hour with the client. It's about connecting with the client.
connecting with them.
And you can show pictures and you can show whatever it is, but it's really about this connection and showing that we have a creativity and everything else. And then afterwards, you send the samples and you send the material swatch and everything. But yeah, it's funny how you change your business technique.
But I look back at like the early presentations we were doing. My goodness, like I apologize to any clients who got them 10 years ago. But it's a good reminder when you look at them and you're like, look how far we've come.
Evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also quite key, when you try to sell, there's so many messages and you have to keep just the key messages. And like when you do a deck, when you do a presentation, I think that your team and you, one of the key strengths you have is being able to be really good salespeople on presentation. So when you see a deck, it's like it sells itself because it's beautiful, because it's straight to the point. And that makes a real big difference. I think presentation is everything, at the end of the day. So it's, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Love it. In terms of kind of principles you guys are trying to live by, obviously we've talked about authenticity. We've talked about creativity being in your DNA. I think that's very apparent. Are there any other things that you're very conscious of every day when you go into work? Like we need to walk and talk this.
Sustainability, eco-friendliness, absolutely.
And it can't just be a buzzword.
No.
And I know it's not
can't
for
be.
you guys,
But it's actually the pillar of the company. So sometimes when people ask us like, oh, what are your credentials? I'm like, the company is itself based on this, right? So it's literally one of the pillars that we sit on.
Yeah.
I think another pillar that we pride ourselves in is excellence. And I repeat it to my team every single day. Are you bringing some value to your client when you do this? And I even say to my admin team, like when you speak to a provider, when you speak to the accounting team, when you speak to whoever it is, are you bringing something to the table and are you making it in the best way possible? When we speak to our supplier, do we have the excellence of the way we communicate? So I think excellence in the product and bringing value is a key thing in the company. And we every day, every single email we write, it's about, okay, am I bringing something to the table here? which I think on a business level is a key principle for us.
Yeah. I think on a personal level, I have a sign on my son's bedroom and it says, if you can be anything in the world, be kind. And every time when I put him to bed, I walk out and I do reflect on that. And I think that's something that we can often forget, those little interactions you have, whether you're at Pret and you're buying something or, you're on the MTR and you pass by somebody, just like acknowledging them with a smile or a hello or a thank you for that. And I think that kindness has a huge impact on then how you lead and how you work with other people.
Yeah, and ironically, in a world that is becoming more cruel and more polarized in many ways, certainly online, kindness stands out even more.
Yeah.
Right, because it's so easy just to be rude or just to stay on your phone and ignore and not make eye contact and not smile, rather than actually try to do something and not expect anything in return.
And actually, I think in the industry we're in, like there are people cleaning the toilets, right? There are people washing your room and all this, and you have to be grateful for what they're bringing to the hotel, because without those people, it wouldn't work. So having a nice word, having something to tell them about what they did, like, oh, thank you for cleaning it. It's beautiful. And I was, right now in Hong Kong, it's the Lycée period, and I always like it because it's a good way of showing gracefulness without sometimes being weird. Like, today there was a lady cleaning the street, and I went to give her Lycée, and I was happy I could do it because I usually just think if it was in April, I'm not going to see her and say, oh, thank you very much for cleaning the street. She might think, like, this guy's a loony, right?
Yeah.
So, but actually, we should say it. You should tell people when we're grateful about something.
Yeah.
My father was very big on reminding us about that. He was an immigrant through Ellis Island from a very poor village in Italy. And so for him, like knowing that his mum worked dishes to pay for them one by one to go to Italy, it really shaped who he is. And he wears this band. He's Catholic. He wears this wooden band next to his beautiful watch, but he still has this wooden band. And it just sort of is this reminder of like, don't forget your roots, but also be grateful and thankful for everybody around you who are, making things roll and who deserve that respect. And I think that's something that definitely still guides us.
Yeah.
And again, I think being at a duo, it's good to remind us sometimes this, because days can be hectic, can be really fast, and you can quickly snap or be impatient with people that don't deserve this. So I think it's also something that...
And your 30 seconds of snapping can have a huge impact on somebody else's day.
Yeah.
So
mine didn't do anything.
No, it's true. You can't, once it's out of the box, you can't take it back. You can't put it back in. So yeah, being able to pause and have that kindness, have that empathy.
Yeah.
It's nice to have reminders, whether it's a wooden wristband or it's a sign above your, a sign above your son's door. Nice reminders to self.
I also think it's really nice to share compliments with people, and I don't think people do that enough.
I was literally talking about that this morning in a workshop with a client.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, so the optimal, sorry, I'm going to pass it back to you, but the optimal ratio in high performing organizations is 5-1. So high performance sports teams, high performance organizations, 5 positive comments to 1 piece of negative feedback. If you think about that, that's a lot of positive praise. That's a lot of high fives. That's a lot of well done, love it, keep it up.
That's high five, low five, side five.
It's a lot. But actually, I've been in groups where that actually does happen.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot, but it's funny because for the first few days, it feels awkward and inauthentic. And then it just becomes the default. Like, we're kind to each other. We support each other. We, the smallest thing you pick up, mate, that was brilliant. Well done. Like, that's enough.
But you know what, Michael, I think, and it goes to what you are doing, which when you launch your business, you see all those books on coaching and management, and you think, whatever, but at the end of the day, people thought about it before you launch your company, and they've been doing it for the last 50 years or maybe 100 years. And being guided by those principles and reading those books early on, or if you can, because it's also a money issue, get a company that's quick as possible, even if it's a little bit, by people like you or people that can give you advice, which will definitely help you enhance your business. And, people reach out to us quite a bit, asking us for time to get them advice and stuff like this. And we try to do it when we can, but I see how valuable this can be. When you launch your business, I think 3 key things are making sure right away you have a good accountant, because you need a good accounting to be able to scale your business. Hire the good people, which is key, and being able to take the good coaching or management advice right away. Looking back, we made so many mistakes, right? And we learned from it, and we didn't end up too bad. It's good. But but you probably rocked a few feathers, we say, around the way, or
Ruffled a few
ruffled a
feathers.
few feathers, like whatever it is, and
But they say you become the 5 closest people to you. So choose those 5 people that you wisely. Is that right?
We keep coming back to the number 5, but it's true. Yeah, it's five chimps theory, right?
Five,
Yeah,
5 great. Yeah.
yeah, 5 chimps theory. That you can predict the behavior of one chimpanzee by the 5 other chimpanzees that spends most time with. Same with humans, right? You become who you surround yourself with. And interestingly, if you have a higher reference point, you're going to rise to their level. And same, it's the whole phenomenon of the boy or the girl who never leaves the village they grew up in, and it's very small town mentality. But the one who goes to the big city, they become successful. It's part DNA, part drive, but it's also part environment. They're surrounded themselves with high flyers and people who are used to making things happen, and they rise to that level. But it's the same for negativity. I think you used the word apathy earlier. That's contagious. If you surround yourself with 5 people who moan and complain and whine all the time, guess what happens to you? You become a whiny, nagging.
Fringes.
No room. No room. No room. I got no time for that. I'm sure you don't either.
No.
Yeah.
that's an extra work when you're French. You have to get this out of your system, right?
Well, the British are also pretty good at moaning. We're pretty good at that. Yeah. Not unique to you guys. Yeah. We're maybe silver medal if you're gold medal. It's good. Yeah. You spoke about your dad there. Are there any other kind of lessons you've learned from him? I think that's always nice to kind of tie ribbons on things like lessons from family, any words to live by.
Yeah, I mean, he's still working. He has a successful M&A business, and he just has the most amazing work ethic. He gets up in the morning, has his breakfast at the same time, gets dressed up in a beautiful sport coat, goes to the office, and he always tells me, you never stop learning. Like, you're always there. And he talks to everybody. The waiter here, the taxi driver, he's always learning from other people. And I love that. And his inquisitiveness is something that I hope I've inherited from him, and that I can build on as well, because I think you just gain so much from those interactions and knowing that you still have so much more to know and to learn.
He's really wise, when I speak to him, and we speak a lot, he will give me advice and give recommendation, and sometimes you're like, I know better because my business, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But in the night, God, he was right, but sometimes you have to realize by yourself.
But I also think it goes back to not needing to be the loudest person in the room. Sure. He's very calm. He's very chill. And I love the way he communicates a strong message in that same calmness. You rarely see his feathers ruffled, right?
Yeah. But you can have that quiet charisma and conviction and confidence, right? Again, I do a lot of public speaking coaching. I'm saying if you're not naturally extroverted and bubbly like me and Bastien, probably very comfortable on a mic. We never saw a microphone. We didn't like the look of. Exactly. So not everyone is built that way. You can still be charismatic in a calm, assured way. You don't have to be someone else.
Exactly. And he's like completely authentically him.
Yeah.
And I love that. So yeah.
You're mentioning family, something I wanted to tell you before, but when we go to a hotel, the first thing our sons do, they turn every single thing around to see if there's the logo. Oh, it's Palatino. Oh, it's Palatino.
Really?
It's really fun to see. Yeah. And when people ask them what they do, he did my plush toy. He did this.
Papa's mommy, did you make this? Did you make this? Did you make that?
So now he comes up with crazy ideas. So it was actually really interesting. We went to a hotel in Shenzhen recently. The Mandarin Oriental, which is a really nice hotel. Actually, Shenzhen is worth going to for Hong Kong people. But and we went there, and he prepared a plan. He's like, "Can we meet with the boss of the hotel?"
He's sick, by the way.
And I want to tell them some ideas, because I think this wall we could put some beautiful flowers on the wall, and this. And I'm like, wow, okay, let's go and search.
Journey mapping.
And you were saying, I think there should be a trunk for crown on it, because it would be really fun for the kids. And I'm like,
opened up, and this can happen, and they can communicate this way.
I think you just push him into sales meetings.
It doesn't. The guy down there, bro.
Exactly. It's in his blood.
Sometimes he wants to come at the office just to push boxes, right? Like, can I sort things out? Or that's quite.
When I was young, I had like lots of little businesses. Like when I was 14, I created a jewelry business, and my dad would like go to Brazil and buy wholesale jewelry, and then come back, and I would make a brand around it, and I would sell the brand at fairs and pop-ups and things like that. And I'm thinking back to those moments that shaped me wanting to create, a grown-up business. And I see the same traits in our son. And I'm like, that is just so cool. To be able to not lose that, to be able to actually help it thrive.
Yeah, you need to try and record some of these moments as well, right? And I'm very against filming the kids and just being in the moment. But actually, when he's 26, 36, 46, looking back at those videos of him guest journey mapping the five-star hotel, it's going to be hilarious.
Exactly.
And that's a gold video to have.
No, it's super cool.
That's content. That is content. Let's tie up with a few kind of principle-based questions. I mean, you know, if there's one lesson, I guess you're trying to teach your kids, right? We talk about business. What would that be? We've talked about optimizing for kindness, about being authentic. Is there anything else that you're really trying to make sure you give them?
I think probably coming from my experience and knowing very well who I am, and I see a little bit of this in him starting. I always just say when he's like, "Mommy, I'm scared. I don't want to do this." I said, "Just feel the fear. Just feel it and do it anyways." And I feel like that's something that I actually have to remind myself as well. Sometimes just do it. And I see sometimes he didn't want to do something, and hopefully I've given him the confidence to do it. He never regrets it. You know, and you never regret the things that you know, seize, the moments you seize, the challenges you took on. And yeah, I think it's really rooted in that.
Yeah. Our kids are a good mirror sometimes, right?
Yeah.
For reflecting back to us that, oh, that's the lesson I need to learn. I'm trying to teach them, but actually it's me that needs to run towards the thing I'm afraid of.
But also I think there's something in discomfort. There's something beautiful that can come from that. And I don't think we should be afraid of feeling that. I don't think we want to make everything super comfortable and squeaky clean and you know, away from those challenges, because that's where, as I mentioned before, the magic happens.
Yeah.
And I actually find there's something great in boredom.
Okay.
You know, when children
From that.
Yeah, when we live in a world where things are over-programmed and everything is scheduled for kids, and I just love letting him have time that's unscheduled. And he's like, "Oh, Mom, I'm bored. And then 10 minutes later, I don't hear anything. And he's off like creating something and building something. And, you know, I love seeing that creativity flourish.
And I think that's something that we go by, is really making sure that we let them the space to do this. Last night we just came back from our holidays and it was late, but he loves to go on the Monday morning, whatever it is, after a weekend, and we print pictures and he likes to show and tell in front of his class. And it was late, but I'm like, you know what? It's such a special moment. Let's do it. So we had a call actually, so we had to postpone the call just because I wanted it to be done, to be able to have this moment that he loves doing, right? So I think when
he created his presentation format, he had everything, and it was just beautiful to see this creativity flourish and the excitement, and you could see he was getting in that zone of genius for him. And I feel like had we have had too much scheduling, we wouldn't be leaving room for those.
Yeah, you've got to feel that boredom, and then kind of creativity comes out the other side, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But to give them, like, to accompany them on this time, you know, like, oh, you want some ribbons? Let's go at the shop and find some ribbons together. We're gonna go at like whatever market that is fun to find different color shops. And so bringing really implicating them in a lot. This is what we do a lot. And
and letting them have the space within, you know, a very safe framework to be able to discover and build on who they are going to become, and not make them mini versions of ourselves.
Well, it sounds like entrepreneurship's in the DNA. I don't really have any concerns about the kids. I think they're going to create multiple businesses probably before age 18.
And if they don't want to, problem, no,
that's fine. Yeah, you do you. You do you, right? Are there any kind of words that you think of often, Bastien? Maybe, I don't know, something your father or your mother said, or someone, an early mentor. You know, is there some words that keep pinging around in you?
It can be
in your mind. It can be in French if you like. This.
I have to give it a think.
You like the experi, the one you said in Florence about looking at the same direction?
Oh yeah, no, that's more like a quote. That's for a wedding.
That's a wedding quote.
Yeah, wedding quote. Yeah. No, I think, you know, empathy is something that guides me a lot. I launched a nonprofit in Paris 16 years ago this year, and we've been accompanying kids from social, economic, difficult backgrounds, so like from the French suburbs or for the countryside, and we help them create connection with the professional world. So we find them internship and jobs and connect them with people as mentors and stuff like this. Today it's over 2,000 kids every year.
Amazing.
And a big thing we do is working with dropouts.
Okay.
So kids that some of them like went to jail when they were 14 or I don't know, like had weapons or whatever it is, like drugs, whatever. So
Just kept that company that got them in trouble.
They were surrounded by the 5 wrong people. And
Exactly.
they made a mistake.
and like really kids that are like far from the scholar system, but they are 13, 14. So what do you do with them?
Yeah,
You
get
just
left
keep them in.
behind.
So we try to bring them back, and we create some mindful program to reconnect them to school. So for example, one of the things we created is around football and video games.
Okay.
And we create the career of a football player, and it's we use GTA and FIFA.
Best of it, by the
yeah.
way.
So like we use those two, and we actually created our own pretty much video game, and they choose the actions of the kid, and they speak about the consequences. So for example, I just got an offer to go to Saudi, so this will be great for my financial but not good for my career. What do I do? So and we, by doing this, we speak about history, about geography, about math, about French, whatever it is,
Solving.
and making them see that, oh, this is why we did this in French, oh, this is why we did this in English. So we reconnect it to this. And so I think the principle we have is there is I have like there's no lost cause in a way.
Yeah.
And always put yourself at the level of the person you speak with. When I say the level, it doesn't mean that you have to go down, but it's just put yourself in their shoe to understand what they mean. And if you do this, every single situation can be solved, because some people will be upset for something, but if I get why he's upset, then we can start discussing. So I would say putting myself at the same level as the people I speak with is my key guiding principle since I'm a kid.
That's a great cause. What's it called so I can put it in the show notes?
It's called Un Stage et Après. It's called an internship and after in English, but it's a French non-profit.
Lovely.
But we actually are creating lots
have
of
great
contents, and we're fortunate with all the big companies are really helpful.
Yeah.
I could tell the name, but all the big French companies are really helpful in either financing or taking students.
Yeah.
But one thing we do is we create some games, like society game. How do you call them? Family games. Board games around those topics.
Okay.
And we then give them to other nonprofits all over the country, for them to be able to use our tools and help more kids. So that's quite a big thing of ours. So
Yeah. You've been so generous with your time already. You have a global business to run, so I'm going to love you and leave you. Gabriella, Bastien, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Us.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.